Welcome, Paris.
Hello. Hi, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Definitely my pleasure. Please tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Paris. You may know me from the band Concilium. It's an epic doom metal band, epic heavy metal band, however you want to, I guess, say that. When I'm not doing heavy metal stuff, let's see, what do I do? I work on databases for scientists during the day, and then I spend a lot of my time reading and reviewing books as well.
Hmm.
And video games when I have a chance. Not
Oh.
as often as everything else, but I guess that's sort of, yeah, that's sort of it.
Say a little more about reading and reviewing books. Any particular genre?
I've been reviewing books for a podcast for 9 years now. And that project is specifically to read things that I think I will hate just
Hmm.
to see how it goes. And it's been fun. It's real casual. It's not I'm not a professional book reviewer by any means. But other than that, I also read a lot of stuff on my own time, just intentionally good books rather than the intentionally potentially bad. So I read a lot of fantasy, and nonfiction as well. I like history.
Cool.
I don't know. I'm interested in sort of reading anything that where the language captures me, and that I feel like is giving me something I haven't gotten before. So something that doesn't have the same tropes as a lot of things in whatever genre it is, whether it's fantasy or something else. So
Oh, that is so neat. I'm really into the golden era of sci-fi horror. So like Ambrose Bierce and H.G. Wells, H.P. Lovecraft. So
oh yeah.
cool. I need to look for your podcast and see. Well, maybe.
Well, maybe. I feel like it's definitely, it's conversational. It's about having a good time. And for me personally, it was just about getting back into reading because I had at the time when it started, I had been out of college for a couple of years and I just realized that after all that academic reading in college, as much as I love academic reading, it had really just burned me and I just had nothing in me to give at that point to books, and to literature. And so after a couple of years, my good friend Chris turned to me and said, do you want to do a book podcast? And I said, I guess. I don't know. And this was 2014 or 2015, so sort of before the current, wave of podcasting. So
What?
we just sort of started doing it, and yeah, so it was just supposed to be fun and also, for me at least, an exercise in vulnerability and in getting used to not being perfect or letting go of perfectionist tendencies that I still have. So that's really what it's for. I'm no one needs to go and listen to it. They can if they wish, but it's probably not going to be for you. Most people aren't into it. So
That's so funny. What a great exercise in putting yourself out there. What's the worst book that you read and reviewed on that?
ooh, that's tough. It's probably more fun to talk about the gems, like the ones that we really liked. But I mean, there have been some real rough ones. I'm trying to think specifically. If I had it in front of me, I could probably just say any of these. Just ones that have a lot of repetition, terrible editing,
Oh,
and just nonsensical sort of plots. I don't know. That can go for a lot of things. Anyway, the podcast is called Terrible Book Club. If anybody out there is willing to subject themselves to it, go forth. Uh, but I can think of some that were surprisingly good. And one of them was a book by the dude from the Mountain Goats. It's just sort of like an indie band. I don't know anything about them, but the main guy in that band is an author, and he wrote this book that was just, I don't know, really took me by surprise. I absolutely loved it. It's sort of, I don't know if I would call it sci-fi, but it's very dark. It's sort of about like the mystery of a particular set of VHS tapes. So if you're like a 90s kid, or late 80s, 90s, I feel like it could work for you if you're into
hmm.
sort of a terrifying premise and sort of emotionally torturous stuff. And if only I could remember the title, I've been going on describing it because I can't remember the title. I could look it up real quick, but let me just do that so that
Yeah, you can do that.
you're not all lost.
We're really like on the, very edge of this right now. It's like the anticipation. What is it? Because actually, I think
I
that book
know.
sounds good so far. I love a
Yeah, and
good
I know
mystery.
I'm being a little because I don't want to give anything away. Sorry. The author is John Darnielle, and the book is Universal Harvester.
Hmm.
Again, dark, introspective, kind of a weird mystery, not doesn't tie things up neatly. I guess those are things I really
Hmm.
like. So mhm.
Cool. I am totally gonna look for that. Um, okay, so back to your music and Concilium, Epic Doom. So somebody entered your themes on the Metal Archives as human fallibility and science overtaking magic or superstition. Do you feel like that is an accurate description of your themes?
I feel like those are some things that have been touched upon, but it's a little hyper specific. Yeah, I mean, whatever. It's the archives. Things happen on the archives that should stay on the archives, I guess. But yeah, I mean, human fallibility is definitely a theme. And in terms of magic and science, I feel like they're in many cases the same or could be the same, right? I don't know that I need to go on explaining that a lot. Y'all probably know what I mean by that. If you don't, I don't know. Read a little bit about it. But it just in terms of in a basic sense, things that are scientific are often preceded by those same ideas but viewed in a magic lens, and then they later sort of get unpacked and for lack of a better way to say it, proven right. So that's interesting to me, just that line and how what we consider science, what we consider magic, and being a little more open minded about it. Because I know in the past I've been a lot more closed minded about that, and yeah, it's just something I guess I've gotten better about, or something that's changed about me, and that I guess that makes its way into my music. So
Oh yeah, that totally makes sense. Actually, what you just said reminded me of a book that I read for the first time this week. Let's gross out all the boys watching. Oh no, periods. So it's like an herbal solutions book and like has like little foot massages and stuff like that in it and like tips for like making your period hurt less. So
yeah,
kind of
I mean, as long as it's not
and magic.
dangerous pseudoscience, I'm on board. So as long as it's nothing like that, cool.
No, they had a pretty good like bit right in the beginning here. This not just the disclaimer, but also like in their intro, they just talked about like what the origins of the information were and like
Oh,
always
good. Yeah.
going and checking out, everything and making sure that like it works right for you. But it's mostly light. It's mostly like this kind of tea can help with this. But when you get down to like the chemical makeup of the tea, then you start to see that it does have the same chemicals as some of the stuff that we're given by the healthcare industry, and not it's not explained to us like how it works or why it's good for us. And so it's like, how come we don't have this information? Well, here's a little book about it. So anyway, that's a book from this week that is a little bit about science and magic and superstition.
Yeah.
So but back to the music. So in 2015 you released a demo. uh
Yeah, that I wish everyone would forget about.
I have to talk to Metal Archives about that.
Yeah, I know. So we can just pretend that doesn't exist and just
Okay, so
jump right to the 2019.
2019, No Sanctuary, which is
Yeah,
exactly appropriate for the demo. No Sanctuary for the demo.
it's true.
EP.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, that collection of songs was put out. We have other stuff for a full length, and at the time we were like, well, what kind of goes together, what doesn't? And we decided, well, let's just see how folks react to this set of songs. And we honestly considered it sort of our like C plus B material. We were just like, well, let's just put this out, see how this goes. I didn't even ask a label to put it out because I, at the time, I don't think I had enough. Oh, sorry.
All good.
I just got back from recording 3 hours ago, so I'm a little my throat's a little overused at the moment. In any case, I didn't at the time even have confidence to try to float it to a label or anything. I just popped it on Bandcamp.
Mhm.
We also did all the recording and mixing and mastering ourselves. I say ourselves. Greg Massey, one of my guitar players, he's the one who did all the recording, mixing, and mastering for us. He did a really fantastic job. This was his first time doing any of that, and he really nailed it. Um, yeah, so that was it. And then it just sort of seemed to hit people in the right way, and it really, we didn't do any advertising for it and do anything to promote it, but it seemed to find its way to the people who it was intended for, and that felt good, and it definitely gave me a little more confidence in terms of approaching the full-length record. So yeah.
Nice. Okay. So, and then you also have some new things out this year. You have did some guest work on Savage Oath's full length on the track Blood for the King and track 7 Divine Battle.
Yeah, that's correct. That was I was something I was so stoked to be asked to do. Lee and I have become friendly over time. Lee from Visigoth and Savage Oath is his project. We just due to, I don't know, being in the same stewing pot of musicians, we somehow came to know each other, and uh Concilium played with Visigoth last summer at Stormbringer Fest over here in New England. And yeah, we just kind of got to talking a little bit. And I actually had told Lee that I really loved his project called Moradin's Forge. I think it might still just be one song. It's sort of this dark ambient dungeons. I don't want to say dungeon synth, but sort of thing. But it has these beautiful layered vocals. And I was telling him how much
Hmm.
I loved them because I did. And so he said to me, well, maybe we should, maybe I can have you work on it at some point. And I was like, oh, that's great. Love to do that. Fast forward, probably, I don't know, it was quite a bit later, many months later. And he's like, hey, I'd love to, I just want to hit you up about vocals. And I said, cool, great. And then he said, would you want to sing on the Savage Oath record? And I said, oh, yes, of course. Because working with Lee and Brandon Radigan, I mean, those are like that's like bucket list shit for me, and I get to check that off, which is great. I mean, Brendan especially is a huge inspiration for me and for my sort of singing trajectory for a lot of reasons. I just remember seeing Magic Circle for the first time, just cold, didn't know them at all, and seeing them and just being so taken by Brendan's vocal performance and talking to him afterward. And, turns out we're from the same town and we
Oh,
didn't know each other, which is really wild. And it's just so weird to meet somebody that has that same interest, same niche interests, and you're from the same place, but you didn't know each other before.
yeah.
So yeah, anyway, total dream come true shit. Also, like Phil, who's in that, who also is in Savage Oath, who is in Manilla Road. He's such a great dude, great musician, does a lot of cool stuff. So yeah, what a dream to be asked to do those backup vocals. I had so much fun. Yeah, can't wait to do it again if I'm allowed back in. But yeah, I mean, for folks who haven't heard that record, please hear it. And I would never just say that. To be fair, I've been asked to sing on other things that I would not tell you about because
Hmm.
I do not think you should check them out. But Divine Battle is really fantastic and fun and beautiful. So please check it out if you haven't.
Amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I didn't have a chance to check it out, so I will be. So,
Oh, please do. Yes. It's a treat.
um, tell us about when you first realized that you loved rock or metal music and when you realized that you wanted to create more of it.
Oh boy. I first realized I loved it. I have a really like a funny formative memory of that if if we're all ready for it. So when I was a kid, we got the internet when I was pretty young. I was like 6 when we got the internet, which is too young for the internet in any age, but most especially in the 90s. It was too young to have the internet. So this meant I got real comfortable with like computers and surfing the web, right? In the mid to late 90s. And when I was 11, I remember I had sort of started to I had started to realize that I wanted things that were darker sonically, darker thematically, things that had an edge, because I had heard some, like most people, you've heard Metallica, you've heard Extreme, on the radio and stuff like that. And I started, my little child brain started to realize, maybe that's what I like. And at some point, I started going on metal forums, like I was on Ultimate Metal, some other ones, doesn't really matter, and made some friends. And I had AOL as a kid. And I remember this guy I knew from one of the forums had an away message, and it was these lyrics. And, you know, me being, again, 11-year-old sort of goth child brain interested in heavy music, I'm like, oh, those, that I think I was like, oh, is that a poem? Like, I really love whatever that is. When he came back and he was like, oh no, it's the song. Get ready for it. Your Ghost, Her Ghost in the Fog by Cradle of Filth. And
Oh,
so yeah, it's a, oh yeah, please make fun of me. And so
no,
it was pretty great.
no, no, no.
So
It's
yeah,
it's totally it's I I have a respect for Cradle of Filth.
yeah. Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
I still do too. In a lot for a lot of albums for sure. And I was like, okay, having absolutely no idea what this is. So I go on SoulSeek, which was my, you know, music thieving app of choice, still is in sometimes. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Uh
you pay
and
for your
so
music, I'm sure.
I do. But you know, sometimes you gotta go to SoulSeek. Anyway, so I'm on SoulSeek and I'm like, all right, and I look up the song. And I think I'm downloading the song. What I'm actually downloading is the music video. So it takes days, right? Because this is,
Oh, dial up.
what year did Midian come out? 2000? Yeah, I was 11. Yeah, 2000 is the year 2000. Dial up, all that good stuff. It finally downloads. I hit play, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this? And I'm so enraptured by it. I just love everything that's going on. And I'm like, I gotta find more of this stuff. So then I immediately just dive right in, and I'm like, all right, then I find Immortal and Emperor and Absu and Psy. And oh man, it just went so hard on that stuff. That's really where the journey begins, was black metal. And then right after that was like the folky black metal stuff, you know, like Vindier or Storm or Falkenbach, all that stuff. So
Hmm.
that was when I really fell in love. And so my teen years were spent going real hard on black metal and then a little bit later death metal. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. And then you get to doom metal.
Yeah. I get there because another online metal friend of mine, when I was 18, we were having this conversation, and please pardon the misogyny of my youth, but we were having a discussion, and he's like, you know, you should really listen to some Doom. And I said, I don't know, isn't Doom like kind of weak, you know, kind of like girlfriend metal, right? Again, these are not ideas I currently hold, but
Oh my God, yeah.
we've all come from somewhere, and it's usually not good. So, you know, we're having this conversation, and he says, no. I'm not talking about, you know, what you're probably thinking of. And he goes, listen to this. Sends me Epicus Doomicus Metallicus by Candlemass. And that is the
Okay.
album that totally changed the trajectory of my life. I feel like because I got it, and I just, man, just Johann's voice just immediately got me. And I just intrinsically wanted to sing along to it. And so I did. And between that and A Night at the Opera by Queen, those are the only two things that ever really made me want to sing along to it.
Hmm.
You know, and so by the time I found that record, I was 18. And then, you know, so then I started really getting into Doom and you know, the epic sort, you know, so Solitude Eternus and Scald and all that stuff. And that's where I was like, that's when I knew. I was like, if I do anything, I really want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, didn't really know I could sing. You know, I was singing along at home, but I had absolutely no sense that I had any talent for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't until I think I was like 19 or 20. And a friend of mine literally heard me singing in the shower. This actually happened. And he was like, was that you? And well, I guess I can't lie. I was like, yeah, it was me. And I was really embarrassed. And he said, no, I think you have a really good voice. And so, still being skeptical, I just continued to work on stuff. Took me a long time to put a band together. And even then, it wasn't quite what I wanted. Things are good now. We're at a better point now. But yeah, I didn't really start singing until I was in my 20s. So, late bloomer on my instrument, I guess. Um,
Oh, well, you know, Tina Turner didn't get her first Grammy until she was 44. Debbie Harry didn't start Blondie till she was 31. Lorraine Lewis didn't start Femme Fatale till she was 30, 31. Um, and
yeah,
blah, blah,
all great
blah, blah, blah,
examples. Yeah,
blah.
it's true.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, you got a whole bunch of patriarchy to get past before you actually realize that you can do it too. So,
yeah, that's
um,
true.
if your music were a movie soundtrack, what would the movie be about?
Well, I've got kind of a weird niche answer. So if you will all bear with me. So in addition to reading a lot of books, I also really like watching movies and TV shows. I feel like in terms of films that exist, so extant films, the movie that really I feel like I could write a soundtrack to, or that Concilium could write something for, is Paul Schrader's First Reformed. If you've never seen First Reformed, fantastic film. I don't know that I'll yeah, oh yeah, you get that pen. I don't know that I'll go too deep, but it has to do with Christianity and environmentalism and yeah, human fallibility. It's got yeah, I won't say too much about it. It's also kind of a weird film. I don't know that everyone would love it, but I think that's kind of got the right overtones and undertones. However, we're talking big dreams. Like if I could say, you there, make me a film.
Hmm.
I would ask one of my favorite directors. I would really love this is a real like out there idea, but I love Gaspar Noé. I'm not actually not sure how to pronounce his name. Love him as a director. And I would love if he made a film that was set in medieval times with sort of the typical visual elements of that time period. So, we're talking castles, we're talking keeps, we're talking morning stars and swords and bows and all that. But
Hmm.
without the trappings of so many of the stories that sort of are set in that environment, right? Like not I don't want your basic hero's journey. I want something a little different.
Hmm.
And just his style is so frenetic, and it would be so interesting to see that style in that setting. Um, yeah, I would love that. I don't know. I could talk more about movies, but I won't waste too much of our, our time. And if
Whose
you
time? It's your time. Don't
if
start
you
blushing over there. This is about you, Queen. I'm
mm,
so tired of girls feeling like they don't get to talk. So blabber on, sister.
oh yeah, but I'm a talker and I have to be aware of that. So, sometimes I can really go on.
Yap, yap, yap.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, if you or if watchers, listeners, if y'all haven't seen any Gaspar Noé or no Gaspar Noé films, Climax is probably my favorite. But it's again a style that might not be for everybody, but worth seeing. Whether you're into it or not, I think it'll do something to you.
Um, so if you could collect any three vinyl records of all time, which would you like to have?
I've got a disappointing answer. I I like vinyl. I have some. Uh, but I'm not a collector. I'm kind of I actually am more of a purger of things, and I kind of I don't really like to hang on to stuff unless it's really meaningful or I use it.
Mhm.
So I mean, it'd be cool to have some early pressing of Epicus Doomicus, right? It's an album that means a lot to me. Uh and I don't know. I can't it's not I don't know. I like vinyl, but it's not like up there. I feel like if anything, I would love to have sort of relics from those bands more than I'd like to
Cool.
have,
Give us that
like
answer.
more than I'd like to have some kind of first pressing of something. I don't know that it would
Okay,
do a lot for me.
let's
Yeah.
try this. What relics would you like to have if you could have any three relics?
Oh, like handwritten lyrics from something or a microphone that was like used in a recording I really love. Something like that. That's the stuff that does it for me. Something that's more sentimental or things that are handmade. I like handmade stuff too. So,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
Um, that's actually a great alternate question. I feel like I should like maybe do that because I've had just a couple people say that record collections weren't like something that they had going on, and that's actually kind of a fun alternate. Um, if you could have a festival
Yes.
lineup of your choice, who would you put on the festival lineup?
Okay. All right. Like, I try not to forget anyone. There's some obvious answers. There's like Visigoth, Eternal Champion, Crypt Sermon, Savage Oath, Candlemass, Scald, Iron Griffin, Tribunal, Purification. Oh, I don't know. That's all the stuff that just like pops off of my brain. Oh, Funeral Fuck. The name is silly, music is not. Music is fantastic. What's another one I can think of off the top of my little head? Lord Vigo, actually, I would include them. I don't know. There's a ton of there's a ton of great epic doom bands or epic heavy metal bands out now that I think yeah, maybe get lost, in the wake of things like, Candlemass and Scald and such. I
But
don't know, Procession, Capilla Ardiente, the Felipe projects. Oh, I'm really digging now. I'm like, oh, what else? Oh, Gates of Slumber. Yeah. Okay. All right, I'll stop now.
you know what? I really think that was a pretty impressive, just like right off of the tip of your tongue, like roll. That was pretty good. That was like a
Uh,
rather a soliloquy, my dear.
yeah,
And
well, I spend a lot of time thinking about this stuff, especially because I'm recording right now. So, it's
but
up
the one
there.
question is, who would be the ultimate headliner at this festival?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that I could choose one.
Okay,
Mm-mm.
where would it be?
That's a harder question. Want to choose something that would be like the easiest meeting point for a lot of people. The thing is, at least, well, in terms of my band and I guess several other people I know, I feel like our fans are all in Europe for the most part. I mean, there's some US fans, of course, but largely this style, sort of epic doom, epic heavy metal, tends to cater to Europe more. I mean, even my band, has its origins kind of in like a Swedish sound. So I feel like it would make the most sense to have it in Germany, probably. That would make the most sense. It would be very inconvenient for me personally, but that's the sacrifice I'd make.
Yeah, seems like there's always a lot of direct flights to Frankfurt, but what, like for Boston, do you have to go down to New York?
Nah,
No.
Boston's great. I can pretty much go anywhere from here, so
That's what's
pretty,
up.
yeah.
Gotta love that about like the Northeast corridor. We have so many airports.
It's
We're
true.
so blessed. I used to
It's
live in
true.
Seattle and you had one. You had
Yeah, I was in Seattle very recently. I was at Northwest Terrorfest, doing some work there, and yeah, love Seattle. Really like that. I really like that city. But I do, but my heart's in the Northeast. I love Boston. I love Philly because I got a lot of friends there, and yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, that was a really amazing answer. I can't believe you did that off the top of your head. Okay, so what was a big decision you made in your life that turned out to be a great choice?
Ooh, got a couple of those, I guess. Hmm. What do I choose? Well, I guess I'll just give you two. Can I give you two? I'll give
Yeah,
you
you
two.
can do
There
two.
there are no rules, right?
Nope.
Uh so I guess the obvious one is deciding to sing in a Candlemass cover band for a Halloween covers event when I was, how old was I? Good question. I think I was 24, maybe 23, 24, something like that. It was a while ago. It was terrifying for me. I definitely had and still sometimes have a lot of anxiety and stage fright. I guess I don't anymore, but it was a pretty big theme for a while, and it was really scary to think about getting on stage in front of people. And I had never sung live before in front of people. And so this was a big deal. And doing that, people were really excited. This was before Candlemass's like comeback. So just to put this in perspective, this was before they were sort of readily available, before Johan had rejoined, yada yada. So it's kind of a lull. So doing the cover band was really fun for people, and it really gave me a boost of confidence to think, okay, I should keep working at this. I really have to finish putting together my band. And actually, that's how Concilium started. Is some of the people who did that project with me then sort of signed on to help me get Concilium started. So Greg Massey, who's still in the band, he, of course, I feel like he's always on loan from Toby Driver and KO Dot and Moblin of the Well, because that's Greg's other thing. But he's fortunate. I've been very fortunate that he's continued to stick with me through this time. And my friend Chris was also in the band's original incarnation. He kind of helped me get it off the ground and then like went to do his own thing. And I think I'm trying to think who else. Yeah, I guess it was just those two from that. But that's how Concilium started. Yeah. Uh second decision that I made that was really good, turned out to be real good, was starting to lift weights. So let's see, what month is it? What year is it? I'm a little addled because I just flew
It's,
back from
it's
recording and I'm like
May
all
2024.
I'm like a scrambled egg with legs right now. All right, so a year and a half ago, roughly, I've sort of had problems with dual sciatica my whole life, which is
Mm,
very excruciating and immobilizing. If I hope none of you ever have to experience it.
mm.
And it was sort of I didn't have my doctor wasn't really taking me seriously. And finally, I decided to get a second opinion because I had some pretty rough episodes where I just couldn't walk or really move for several days at a time, which is,
Oh.
as you can imagine, pretty inconvenient to say the least. And got a second opinion, got some x-rays done, found out some things were messed up. And really I was just prescribed like you got to get stronger because I've got some spinal abnormalities, not to bore everyone for too long. And the best thing to do is really just to get stronger. And so I started lifting weights. Yeah, about a year ago, little more than a year ago.
Mhm.
And it's really, really helped. I haven't had any issues. Like I don't have pain all the time. I'm a lot more flexible. I'm obviously stronger. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I just always thought like, nah, that's not for me. My whole life, I just figured I'm not very athletic. I don't really do a lot of physical stuff. As much as I like walking and, rock climbing and stuff like that, I just never saw myself as person who lifts weights. So, it was definitely taking a big step outside of my comfort zone and committing to something that was difficult because if I didn't, then I was really facing either surgery or being, or having a severe disability for the rest of my life. So, yeah, so I've been doing well. I unfortunately I don't think any of the wood near me is real wood, so I can't knock on it, but but knock on oh, maybe this is real. Yeah, that's real. All right. So, hopefully that trajectory continues. But I gotta say, yeah, if it's feasible for you to do so, lift some weights, man. It's good for you. Good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely second that. Just to bore everybody, my mom had like a really intense limp from her 30s onwards and had a cane, which was kind of bitchin', but she was in pain. So she did get a hip replacement, and the only way that I'm ever going to prevent being a lady with a cane is weightlifting. So I totally anyway. So totally second that. And I love that weightlifting is kind of a thing in the like women of metal community. There's like a whole bunch of girls like Amy from Solicitor, pretty sure Sarah from Smolder lifts weights. I was just talking to some other people. There's a whole bunch of girls that lift weights, and I love that role modeling that like weights are metal, in fact.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I don't know how you can listen to Eternal Champion as much as I do and not pick up a weight and
it's
feel real good.
100% weightlifting music. I like, oh, I don't know. All right, we're gonna stop talking about weightlifting a little bit because it's
Just
gonna
a break as
this
a treat.
because this would spiral. This would spiral. But I'm gonna start tagging you in my weightlifting
Yes.
Instagram stories. Oh yes, I can. We should start challenging each other to like um level up, get a new personal rep goal.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your favorite gear and your favorite stage wear?
Ooh. All right. For gear, I kind of got a little triptych for you. I got three things that I find sort of essential. Uh, uh, the classic throat coat, whether in tea or droplet form. Shout out to my friend Ed for recommending the drops to me because there's been a lot of times where I've been at a venue and they don't have hot water or they can't boil stuff or they're being shitty about letting me bring in hot water. The drops got me through recording this past weekend. Oh, so good. So thanks, Ed. You rule. The other two are like gear stuff. So I actually really love this is the Audix OM2 and it's got a switch. This is what I use for live stuff. And I love this because this thing never feeds back. It just doesn't. And the switch is great because then if you're moving around, you can just click it off, and you don't have to worry about feedback ever. It's just really good about being super directional, just right here. Love it. Delivers every time. Also very affordable. I think that thing was maybe $100, so recommend. And lastly, my last like gear like electronic thing is my TC Helicon VoiceLive2. It's my board, and I've only had it for a little bit, but I gotta say, I never thought I was gonna be like a person who sings through a pedal board. But again, you know, you can't make assumptions about what person you are, I guess. But I had this experience where we were playing a show, and my partner was like, because I was worried about the sound at the venue, because I had been there and was like, I don't know what their setup is like. And he was just like, why don't you sing through my Kemper? And I was like, what? And so we did it. We did it, and it was cool. And that made me go, okay, I'm going to get a proper board, because Kempers are for guitars, they're not really for voice. But hey, if you're in a pinch, you can use a Kemper for your voice. So I got the TC Helicon, and I love it. So this way, I can control all my own reverb and delay, my volume, got a little kiss of compression, a little kiss of EQ. And that way, all I do is roll up and say, treat me like a DI box. And the sound person goes, oh, great. I don't have to do any work. And well, they have to do a little mixing, and they can control my volume too, to some extent. But it just takes out so much of the anxiety about, oh, how am I going to sound? How, are they going to drench me in so much reverb and delay that I sound like I'm dying in a cave,
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that's my gear
You know,
rundown.
that is a really great point. You're the first person to like sort of like give legitimacy to the need for this. Um there I have to recommend that you check out some of the other episodes with Doom singers, because the pedals that different people recommend all sound really interesting.
Huh.
But to have like a little bit of control of how you sound in different venues sounds fabulous, because I've been to some shows where the sound system was just garbage and
Oh
nobody
yeah.
was sound good there, no matter how good they were. And it kind of ruined like the whole show. Everybody's band sounded awful there. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. And it depends on who you get for for an engineer for the night too, because I've had great experiences and I've had real negative ones where the
mm,
person who was on that night just didn't care, didn't want to do a good job.
mm,
So yeah, I think
not
the
totally.
having a board really takes a lot of that
And
anxiety
I
out of the
I
equation.
also think of my friend Claire in Breaker, how she was at a venue and like she kept trying to talk to the sound guy and he like was not acknowledging her because he didn't expect it to be a girl. And if you
Of
walk up
course.
and you're like, "Hey," like presenting me, maybe
Yeah.
that could like assist in the I don't know, at least that they see you coming at them with a box.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fucking bummer. I hate that shit, but we all have those stories, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
mm.
Um Okay, so what is a
Oh,
performance? Ooh,
I didn't answer your stage
stage
wear
chair.
question. I just
Yeah.
remembered. My like basic stage wear mantra is like big sleeves and chainmail or go home. That's usually how it works. So, I've got a velvet jumpsuit from Imogen at Scorpio Rising that I really like wearing. But otherwise, just anything with big sleeves. And yeah, I've got some chainmail pieces I really like. Actually, um I've got one of those great flails from Lost Chains. She's in Philly. She does great work. I
Huh.
love that. I always wear that on my belts. And a lot of my stuff is thrifted, but there are some chainmail makers that I'd recommend that I have pieces from. There's Black Hearts Jewelry in the UK. I've got a bunch of stuff from her. And then and It Is Known. She's out of New York. Also great US maker. So
Well, who made that
yeah.
big ring you're wearing?
Oh, this one? Oh, this is a piece from my friend Jen. Let's see if I can get it up there.
Oh yeah, perfect. It's in total clear.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's a garnet
Gorgeous.
and then silver. Yeah, her brand is Chaos and Hell. She also actually made these earrings for me. These Epicus Dumicus Metallicus earrings.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, she's
Very
wonderful,
nice.
wonderfully skilled artisan. So yeah, check out Chaos and Hell for some great silver goods.
Nice. Beautiful ring. So okay. What's a performance memory that you will never forget?
Oh boy. I'm gonna preface this by saying this is not me trying to say that this is a particularly negative memory because so many positive things happened, but I'm never gonna forget playing Stormbringer 2023. So remember how I was talking about lifting weights and how I haven't really had any problems. I did have a very small sciatica flare up 2 days before we were supposed to play Stormbringer. And I was so scared that I wasn't going to be able to play. So I was like babying myself. I couldn't even go on Friday because I
Oh.
I just didn't trust going all that way and standing on concrete and stuff, which sucked because then I missed like Sonya and I missed Shadow Kingdom. I don't know. I missed a bunch of stuff. Anyway, so the performance day comes. I'm struggling through it. I had to wear flat shoes. That's why there's videos floating around, and you might be wondering, like, why is she wearing flats? Well, it's because my spine and nerves were very unhappy. I was like, I had to take muscle relaxers. I just had like tiger balm patches all over the top of my butt. Like it was a rough go. So that's all happening. And then the day is about 86 degrees, 90% humidity.
Mm.
And Ralph's, where the festival took place, is a historic building. So it doesn't, so it's gotten grandfathered into a lot of things. So, and some of those things are like ventilation. So there's no windows that open upstairs. There's no AC, and there are fans, but I think I don't remember if they weren't working or if the level of humidity was just so high that it didn't matter. But yeah, it was like drowning on land in there. That was I mean, so people weren't like people had to leave and catch a few minutes of a band and then leave and then come back because it was just so miserable up there. So I'll never forget that. But I will also never forget the great performances. And I mean, it was awesome for those of us who were sort of in outfits. It was like me in my like velvet jumpsuit and chainmail, and then like Stacy from Savage Master and all and Adam and all the other dudes in hoods, and then Christian from Night Cobra in a big wool coat. And we, after that we all were kind of like, yeah, we lived. We all committed to the bit and we didn't pass out. But
Oh my God.
it was a great time. I'm really looking forward to the next iteration of Stormbringer, whatever year, in whatever year that happens. But oh yeah, it's one of those like you can't control the weather things, but oh, it was unspeakable. It was unspeakable.
Oh my gosh. Um, okay, so everybody that's trying to go to Stormbringer next year, please construct a large peacock feather fan, very big, and stand in the front.
Well, I don't know this for sure, but I would guess that it's probably going to be at a different venue that is not a historic building. So it's my guess. It's my guess. Don't
Oh
quote
my
me.
gosh. Um, the peacock fans are like optional, but they could be fun.
Mhm.
So, do you have any new announcements for us?
Yes, too many. I'll try to keep it brief though. So we already talked about Savage Oath. Again, if you haven't listened to Divine Battle, listen to it. If you haven't heard the EP before that, listen to that as well. Um, so I did some guest vocals on that. I also did guest vocals on another record that's gonna be out. I don't know when this episode comes out, but I don't
Night.
remember. Tonight. Okay. Well, then I can't talk about it yet. So I'm sworn to secrecy for another couple weeks, but it'll make sense in 3 to 4 weeks from now. But I had a very, very tiny part on it. And, I don't even know if people are going to really recognize my voice. But just like the Savage Oath record, I also think this record is going to be like on people's year-end lists. And trust me, I know you're going to be like, Paris, how is that possible? How? And I think you'll agree with me. So both these records definitely year-end list material. Anyway, yeah, wait for the other one. Otherwise, let's see what do I got going on. So I think I mentioned a couple of times. We just started recording for the full length. It's actually happening. Insert, GIF here. It's happening. A lot of people have been asking me for literal years about it, and I've unfortunately accidentally lied to them several times, due to pandemic reasons and life reasons. But It's getting recorded, so it is happening. So that's a big deal. I don't know when it's going to be out. I assume sometime next year. If I have more details, you'll see them online somewhere. For shows, Concilium is playing the Crypt Sermon record release show on June 14th at Johnny Brenda's in Philly. So if you are in or near Philly, please come. Be nice to see any of you. It's Joe especially.
I'll be. Oh, wait, when was the date again?
June 14th. That's a Friday.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that'd be great. So
Just letting all my
obviously
stalkers know.
no, so obviously really excited to play the Crypt Sermon record release show. We're also playing with Final Gasp, which is another friend of mine's band. So yeah, that'll be a great time. We don't play a lot because our members are sort of sprinkled around the country. We're not like we don't all live in the same place anymore. So try to keep performances to a minimum. Lots of flying. Let's see. Beyond that, what else do I got? Just let's see. Did I write anything down that I should say that I forgot? Probably.
Any merch? Any new merch?
Yeah, we had some patches. My friend Mike Greylord, Greylord's Horde made some patches for us. I think they're sold out on his site, but we have some band copies that we're gonna sell at the show first, and then if there's any left, we'll put them up. But it's a limited run of 100. So if you really like that castle from the EP, who doesn't? You too can get it to sew it onto something. Um,
Nice.
yeah, I guess otherwise I've got some really minor projects I could talk about. So in addition to Concilium, and doing the backups on Savage Oath and the backups on other record that cannot be named presently, I also have done some collaboration on a project called Dark Vestige. So this is something for people who like Dead Can Dance specifically. If you're into Dead Can Dance, I don't know, if you're into like Lorena McKenna or Azam Ali, or I hate to say it, but like world music, and sort of darker stuff and cool sampling. Yeah. Anyway, if you've ever heard of Dead Can Dance and you like it, then you should check out Dark Vestige. It's a friend's project, and he does everything, but he very kindly asked me to sing on a track on the last album he put out. It's called Psalms of Famine. Again, Dark Vestige. You can hear me on track 2 there. But please listen to all of it. I mean, all the stuff he puts out under that moniker is great. Let's see what else. And then I'm going to be doing some work on the next one too, whenever that's out. And lastly, I did some voice work this past year. So not singing, but I got to voice a video game character, which is something I've always wanted to do, and it was very fun. So,
Amazing.
yeah. So if anyone is into video games, maybe check it out. You can find it on Steam. It's called Gobsmacked, like goblin, Gobsmacked. And I voice the player character, which is a post-apocalyptic goblin, and your objective in the game is to murder robots in this like Colosseum style sort of battle system. So it's just like a roguelike first person shooter. It's silly and fun, but every time, the goblin's like that's me. So every time the goblin makes noises and stuff and jumps and screeches, it's me. So it was just such a fun thing. There's certain types of video games I really love, and I've always wanted to be involved somehow, even
Mhm.
though I don't have, I'm not a coder or anything like that. So it was just really fun. And yeah, shout out to my friend Chris who kind of got me that gig. It sort of just happened. It was sort of like, hey, do you want to try to do this? And then, I was chosen to do it. So it was really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's everything fit to speak for now.
All right. So, how can we follow what you do and listen to your music? Where is that?
I mean, you can find Concilium on pretty much any platform. I mean, you can find it on, Spotify, Bandcamp, YouTube, yada yada. It's pretty much pushed to everything, I think. And yeah, we have an Instagram. It's just Concilium Doom. And then I on Instagram, I am burning is Paris, because the sun is unrelenting. Uh, yeah, I don't know that I mean, and the band Instagram has a link to a link tree that can take you to everything related, so if you want to find merch or listen to music or see videos of us or anything like that, that's all there. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, that's going to be all for today. Thank you so much for your time and telling all of these great stories.
Yeah, thank you, Joe, and thanks for having me. It was really fun.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you could be a part of this. Bye.
All right. Good night.